appreciate this opportunity to speak with you. I'm not sure that what I'm going to show you is of interest to you, but I really think it is because we're going to be talking about how to help your money grow faster and better for you. So I'm going to speak pretty quickly, and if you have any questions or anything, just stop me and ask them. I'm going to be telling you about the company that I work with. It's called Federal Financial Group, and it's a national company. We have a goal and mission statement that says that we help people to become financially independent. So, what does financial independence mean to you? Okay, that's a good answer, and our definition is similar in that we say that financial independence means that your money is earning enough in interest and dividends that you can live off of what your money earns instead of what you earn. So at that point, you don't have to work unless you just want to work, but you're not forced to work to make a living. And so that's where we're trying to get. I hope that that's someplace that you would like to go. We found that there are a number of problems that hinder people from getting to financial independence as quickly as they would like to. So we've partnered with several companies that have been in business over 100 years, financial institutions that handle billions in assets, and companies that we can trust that have a history of large earnings. And then we help you to solve some of these problems that hinder you from getting the income that you need for retirement. Some of those things are inflation, taxes, and just not being prepared for the cost of living as a retiree. But we have solutions to those problems. One problem that or statistic basically that you may not be familiar with is out of 100 people, how many do you think at age 65 are financially independent? And we're going to, for this question, define financial independence as making at least $35,000 a year without working. So passive income of $35,000 a year or more. Out of 100 people, age 65, how many do you think are financially independent? Okay, you're saying 10, and that's a good answer. However, the answer is actually 4. So think about that. If only 4 people make at least $35,000 to live off of, then how do the other 96 live? Well, it's actually 3 ways that most of them end up living. They either get help from their family or children, they get help from charity, or they return to work. And that just reminds me of one of my colleagues said that he went to Wendy's and he saw a lady that really reminded him of his grandmother. White hair, nice lady, was greeting people as they came in and cleaning off tables in between greetings. But then she pulled a paint scraper out of her pocket, got down on one knee, and scraped some gum off of the floor. And you just have to think and realize that who planned on scraping gum at age 70 or 80 years old? I mean, what type of retirement plan is that? So we want to make you be in a situation where you won't ever have to worry about anything like that, working anywhere. And so we use 7 steps to solve the problems that we've noticed with retirement. These steps include inspecting what you expect, increasing cash flow, eliminating debt, developing an emergency fund, protecting what you gather some information at the end, and it'll, allow me to personalize it for your situation. But the first step that we focus on is inspecting what you expect. And in this step, we supply you with tools to monitor what comes in and what goes out in your budget. I have a friend that says that you have to tell your money where to go before you ask it where it went. And so this is what we help you to do, to make sure that your money is being used in a way that you'll be able to reach and achieve your dream. Now, step number 2 is increasing cash flow. And how do you define cash flow? Well, sure, that's a good definition. Well, we say that cash flow is after all of your money comes in for the month, and then all of your expenses are paid and bills are paid, the money that's left over is cash flow. And what we endeavor to do is to increase your amount of cash flow so that you actually have more money to sock away for later in life rather than just, paying day-to-day expenses. Now, our third step is eliminating debt. We have a program called the Debt Eliminator, and I would collect information from you there so that we could help you to become debt-free. Now, the example that I have here shows an average family. They've got a house loan, a mortgage, auto loan, credit card, and store card, and they're spending about $2,000 a month on these expenses. And they would actually, if they kept paying according to the schedule that they established, they'd be debt-free in 26.8 years. But what we do is we put these numbers into our program, and without changing the monthly payment total, we just realign some of the ways that the payments are being made, in order that the payments are being made. And it allows us to get the family out of debt in 13.1 years. So almost about half of the time that they were working with before. And then once you realign your debts and become debt-free, you can use that $2,000 that you were spending on living expenses towards savings. And so then this family was actually able to save up close to $500,000 in those remaining 13 years by stocking away that $2,000 a month that they had been spending on debt. And so that's one of the ways that we help. We also can, if you're eligible to refinance, and if that's a good situation for you, we help you to decide whether refinancing would be an option, and if it would be, how it would be able to help you improve your retirement savings. So, for example, we had a family that was paying a mortgage, and they were able to refinance to a 15-year mortgage. It would be $1,700 a month for 15 years. So that would be a good option. After the 15 years, they could save up to $1,716 a month, and they'd have almost $600,000 in savings. But the other option was to go with a 30-year mortgage with an $1,192 monthly payment and saving the $524 difference each month for 30 years. And by doing that savings plan for 30 years that way, it made a difference of almost $200,000 by retirement. So that, it certainly could be a possibility. So you just have to weigh your options and have your options available. Now, the fourth step is developing an emergency fund. And a lot of people don't have an emergency fund. Do you already have one, or where are you? Okay. Well, most people say that it never works because you end up blowing that money. And so what we recommend is that you have your emergency fund in a place that's safe, in a place where you get better returns than your checking account, better interest than your checking account, where it's completely liquid. So in an emergency, you need to be able to get that money when you need it. And then to be separate from your checking account so that you don't accidentally spend it on non-emergencies. The other thing that frequently happens with an emergency fund or the lack of it is that people will spend for an emergency, say like a transmission. It might normally cost you about $1,800, but if you don't have the emergency fund, you might pull out your plastic. Take you 3 or 4 years to pay that off, and now your expense has doubled. You're paying $3,000 to $4,000 for a transmission. You don't even have the car anymore. So it's always a better option to have the money, the cash to spend, and not have to deplete your. You create debt and pay interest on it. Now, step number 5 is protecting what you have. And your biggest asset is you and your earning ability. And so you've seen families where the main breadwinner passes away. It's always sad when that happens, and there's always major changes that have to be made in order for the family to be able to survive. And so what we recommend is 10 times your annual income in life insurance. And so then you or your wife are able to continue as if the other is still there with that amount of life insurance. So if you make $50,000 a year, then 10 times that, $500,000. It's just a good policy to have that amount of insurance. Now, step number 6, this is usually everybody's favorite. This is where we actually build the financial independence by building up a large nest egg, a large savings, and income that you can't outlive. Now, this is actually a very important concept for you to listen. So I want you to really listen to me while I'm explaining this, and know that if you really listen, you really take in what I'm telling you, this could change your life. Seriously. Now, it's 2 main battles that you have to fight and win in order to win the money game. And the first one of those is the inflation battle. The second one is, I'll come back to inflation, but the second one is the taxation battle. And with taxation, just keep in mind that it's not what you earn that matters, it's what you get to keep that's really important. And so you want to win both of those so that you maximize your earnings. Now with inflation, we have to consider the rule of 72. Are you familiar with that? Okay, what do you understand about the rule of 72? Okay. Well, the rule of 72 also stipulates that if you're earning an interest rate, let's say 4%, you take the number 4 and divide it into the number 72, then the product that you get tells you the number of years that it would take you to double your money at that interest rate. So, for example, if you had $100, you're earning 4%. In 18 years, how much money would you have? Exactly, $200. And then in 18 more years, you'd have how much? Okay, $400. So that's a total of $3,800 Do you think that $400 36 years from now would buy the same as $100 now? Well, most likely it would not, because you have to factor in inflation. Inflation is at is averaging 3%. So some years it's more, and some items increase more than 3%, like gas, for example. And so many times, if you were saving and getting 4% interest, you would be just barely keeping up with inflation. You wouldn't be getting ahead. And so, where would you even be saving your money to get 4% interest? Could you get that at the bank? The last time I checked CD rates, they were 0.17%. And so, as you can see, the problem is that you're not earning enough to even keep up with inflation, let alone exceed it. Okay, and if you could earn a higher interest rate, do you think that would help you to gain uh, financial independence better or quicker? Well, let me show you an example. Excuse me, I don't know why my allergies are acting up now, but let's say this person is age 29, and they have $10,000 in savings at 4%. So, like I said, you divide the 4 into 72, you have 18 years. So every 18 years, their $10,000 would double. So at age 47, they have 20,000. At age 65, they have $40,000. Now, if you had $40,000, how long would that last you? In today's dollars, probably not very long. The way you spend, probably not even a year. Okay, so you can see the problem with the 4% earnings. You're not going to have enough to live off of, not very long. And so what happens? You end up working at Walmart. But do you think that you could gain financial independence if you could earn a higher interest rate, say 6, 8, 12%? Well, sure you could. At 6%, it doubles every 12 years, and so then this person has $80,000 at 65 instead of 40,000. So that puts them a little closer to financial independence. But then at 8%, they have 160,000, and at 10%, at 12%, they have $640,000. So what's the difference? This guy actually lost $600,000 because of the interest rate. It wasn't a difference of the time, because it was still the same length of time, it's still the same 36 years. And it wasn't a different investment, because they both started with $10,000. The interest rate made all the difference. So wouldn't it behoove you to know how to get that type of interest on your money? Well, let's look at where most people the 3 places that people can save. The first place that people can save is in a fixed account, the stock market, or using an index strategy. Okay, with a fixed account, that's a really safe investment, because a person can save at a low interest rate, and then it's pretty much guaranteed that it'll earn that amount of interest. The problem is it's a low interest rate. So uh, examples would be a savings account, a CD, a bond, and again we're talking, well, we 0.17% on a CD, but bonds maybe what, 1 or 2%. Savings account less than CD. So you're talking a really low interest rate, and are you keeping up with inflation? Well, no. The inflation is growing faster than your money. Okay, so then another option at the other end of the spectrum is the stock market, and you can make big earnings with the stock market. So there's chance of tremendous growth. But what else is a risk factor when you invest in a stock market? Well, sure, you can lose money. And my pastor used to say that his 401k had decreased down to a 200 and a half. So that's a problem. You don't want to have your money someplace where you're losing money instead of putting away money for retirement. So the third option is the index strategy. And with the index strategy, your money, your investment is pegged to the Standard and Poor 500. And so Standard and Poor 500 are the top 500 traded companies. And when they grow, you grow. But the beauty of it is that it is guaranteed not to lose money. And so if you had to choose between these three strategies, which one would you be interested in? The income strategy, the index strategy. Well, that's what most people choose. And so when we get back together after I collect all the information, I will bring you an illustration of how that could actually work in your situation. But let me tell you a little bit about the index strategy. Let's say you had $10,000 to invest, and you're invested in the stock market. And so you start out with 10,000, and the first year you earn 10%. Is that possible? Sure it is. So you earn 10%. So at the end of the first year, you have $11,000. And let's say you earn 10% again. Is that possible in the stock market? Sure it is. So now you have $12,100. But in the third year, what if you lost 20%? Could that happen? Sure it could, and it has happened before. So now you have $9,600. And what if it lost again, like 17%? Is that possible? Sure it is. So now you've got $7,900. So you're way below what you started out with. But let's say in that fifth year, it really increased. Say you got a 15% increase. Well, now you're up to $9,000. And so all of those increases and decreases can really happen and have happened in the past in the stock market. But let's say you had the index strategy instead. The first year you put in your 10,000. At the end of the first year you have $11,000. And the second year it gains 10%, you gain 10%. So now you have $12,100. In the third year, the stock market lost 20%, but you stayed year when the stock market loses ground, you stay the same. You still have the $12,100. Now in the fifth year, when the stock market bounces back 15%, because of the cap in the index strategy, you don't bounce back the full 15%. You only bounce back 12% because of the cap. But now you've got $13,550. So would you be happier here or here? Sure. If you could eliminate these losses, you're going to be better off up here. Okay. So that's the inflation, beating inflation with the interest rate. But we still haven't really talked about taxation. So I have an example here that'll really bring home the importance of winning the taxation battle too. Excuse me. Now, in this example, the person is age 30 and he wants to save up $1 million by age 60, so over the next 30 years. So he goes to his banker and he asks him, how much money would I need to put aside each month in order to have $1 million in 30 years? So the banker figures it out at 5%. This is an old example because where can you earn 5% now? But he figures it at 5%. He tells the young gentleman, you can put aside $1,639.29 a month, and you'll have $1 million in 30 years. Well, the guy feels pretty hopeless because that's a lot of money. Okay, so let's say we could get a better interest rate. Well, at 10% interest, but still being taxed on your growth and your policy, you could put away about $900 a month and have $1 million in 30 years. But $900, that's still a lot of money. But if you could earn the 10% and not have to pay taxes on your money, you would only have to have $438 a month. Now, a lot of people could do that, don't you think? Sure, you might even be able to do that. So that's why we say that it doesn't take a large amount of money. It doesn't have to be $10,000 or even $2,000 a month. If a person can put aside even $400 a month, they could really come out good if they have a program that beats the inflation battle and the taxation battle. So that's step number 6. Okay, now step number 7 is estate planning. And estate planning just involves having an attorney or legal advisor that helps you with wills and all your estate planning to make sure that your money goes to your heirs and not get tied up in probate and so forth. So if you need that, then we can certainly get that for you. So at the beginning, remember I told you I want you to pick 2 things that are priorities to you so that when we get back together, I can bring you illustrations of those 2 areas. And those areas are inspecting what you expect, increasing your cash flow, eliminating debt, developing an emergency fund, protecting what you have, building a long-term savings plan for your financial independence, and estate planning. So which 2 are most important to you? Okay, 2 and 6. Those are commonly very important to people. So when I get back in a couple of days, then I'm going to bring you illustrations that will really for uh, providing this information. So when I come back in a couple of days, I want you to have a large plate of piping hot, right out of the oven, chocolate chip cookies. Okay, yeah, I'm just kidding. Um, in actuality, the companies that we partner with, they pay me like a finder's fee or commission for every person that takes advantage of their plans. So you don't have to pay me anything. You're going to owe me big, but you don't have to pay me anything um, for giving me this information. Now, if you decide that you want to give me the chocolate chip cookies, I will accept them. Now, I need to collect some information from you so that when I get back with you, we'll be able to have a plan that's personalized for you. Okay, John, I am really, really, really excited because uh, it looks like, based on what you told me, that we have about $400 a month that you'd be able to put into this plan. Man, that is great. You are going to love what I'm going to be able to show you with this $400. That is magnificent. So today is Wednesday. Can we get back together on Friday at 3 p.m.? Okay, great, great. And I can't wait for you to see this because this is going to be really good. Now, if what I show you meets your needs and is absolutely phenomenal, like I know it's going to be, is there any reason why we cannot do business together? Okay, great. And if what I show you is great, which it will be, and we do business, is there any reason why you would not introduce me to 2 or 3 of your friends that you know or family members that might be able to use something like this? Okay, great. Then I'll be looking forward to seeing you on